Okay, I want you to find this paper from yesterday. It says 4.3 in the corner. We did it as notes yesterday. I'm going to zoom out. You should have the whole front side completed. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how the goal is still to isolate the variable. We're still using inverse operations to cancel things out. We're still keeping things balanced, right? With the line down the middle and showing our work on both sides until we get the variable by itself. We said the only little key here to remember in this section is that you do everything as normal. Do everything the same as you're used to, except if you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides, you have to flip which way that inequality sign is going. Okay, so that was my orange highlighter here. I showed that when I multiplied by a negative on both sides, this suddenly flipped and was going the other direction. Divide by a negative on both sides, this inequality symbol flipped and was going the other way now. Okay, so we talked about that's a flip, where you flip that inequality sign to be going the other way. And we also talked about a spin. I'm going to zoom in on these ones just to remind you what we talked about yesterday. Here, let's start here. I divided by a negative on both sides, so that's a flip. And then my variable was in the back, so I have to spin the whole answer around and write the variable in the front. And now it looks like it's going the other way again, right? So again, I multiplied by a negative on both sides, so that's a flip in orange. And then my variable was in the back, so I spin it around and rewrite it as my final answer with the X in front. Okay? Multiply by a negative on both sides, so that's a flip. Variable's in the back, so at the very end, I spin and write it with the variable in the front. So we talked about how you could have a flip, a spin, or both, depending on the problem. Okay? I want you to flip this over, and we're going to look at these practice problems first, and then also talk about the story problems. Okay, I'm going to do one just to get us going again, and then you're going to pause the video and finish these 6 questions that are right here on the bottom of the back side of the page. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line down the middle, highlight the variable, find the variable that you're trying to get by itself. Ask yourself, okay, what's happening to this variable right now? Well, it's being divided by -3. How do I cancel out dividing by -3? Multiply by -3. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. Cross out what cancels. Bring down my X. Right here, if you're thinking in colors like I was doing yesterday, as soon as you multiply by that negative on both sides, flip which way the inequality sign is going. Okay, and then -4 times -3 is 12. Okay, and I can read this. My solution would be X is less than 12. Cool. It says to graph the solution, doesn't have to be anything fancy. There's 12. Less than, and it is an open circle, arrow to the left. Okay, so that took us about, maybe a minute or so per question. So we'll pause for 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, and finish these. You have 5 questions left in this section. I want you to finish them now, and we'll hit play when everybody's ready to go over these. Okay, we should have these questions done. I'm going to put the answers up so we can check them over together. Okay, we did number 1 together. Well, number 7, let's do this one. So here I have to multiply by -2 on both sides. Right there, ding, ding, ding. When I multiply by a negative on both sides, this is flipped now and going the other way. Final answer, I don't like to have my y, my variable, in the back, so I spin it around, and you should get y is less than or equal to -1. Yes, you should have a graph with these. I don't know if I do. So that would be a closed circle, arrow to the left. Okay, let's go on and check the next 2. Okay. In this one, multiply by the reciprocal, right? Multiply by 5, 6. So the 6 and the 6 and the 5 and the 5 cancel. Bring down your m. And multiply by 5, 6 over here. This should be 12 divided by 6 is 2 times 5. And I get that -10. Now, Variables in the back, so I need to spin it around and get this. M is less than or equal to negative 10. Okay, next one, again, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. In this case, though, the reciprocal is a negative. As soon as you multiply by that negative on both sides, now it's flipped going the other way. Okay, so bring down your H, and then I worked this out. 8 divided by 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. Okay? And then the last two, let's check these. So divide by negative 5 on both sides. As soon as you do that, flip this sign around so it's going the other way. Okay, and then got my answer. Z is greater than negative 7. All right, over here, divide by 3, divide by 3. No flipping because I didn't divide by a negative. I just bring down my N. I got a negative answer, but that's okay. The only problem here is my variables on the left, or sorry, in the back, on the right. So I need to spin it around and get N is greater than negative 1/2. Okay? So those should be done. We're going to move on and talk about the 4 story problems you see at the top of the page. Okay, so move on up to the top of the page and we're going to look at the story problems real quick. We'll do these together and then you've got time to work on your packets. So, avocados. You have $9.60 to buy avocados for a guacamole recipe. Avocados cost $2.40 each. Okay. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of avocados you can buy. So, I want to, a couple things, right? I want to look for my clue words that tell me which inequality symbol I can use. Now, this one doesn't have any clue words that jump out at me, but I do know how money works, and if I have $9.60, I know that means I can't spend more than $9.60. So I could spend less than or equal to $9.60. So that's going to be the first part of my inequality that I can write down. Less than or equal to $9.60. And that stays glued together there. All right. And then I'm looking for, I'm going to read it again. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of avocados you can buy. Remember, whatever they're asking you for, that's your X. So, write down an X somewhere over here. X goes on the left of your inequality sign, right? Left of the line. The number of avocados you can buy, and each one is $2.40. So how would I put those together? Well, we know in this section we're either multiplying or dividing. Would it be $2.40 times the number of avocados? Or the number of avocados divided by $2.40? Yeah, we know it's $2.40 times however many avocados I buy. Okay, so there's my inequality. That might be 1 point on the quiz, just being able to write that. Then I can solve, right? So divide by 2.4, divide by 2.4. X is less than or equal to 4, and I would label it avocados, right? Less than or equal to 4 avocados. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Temperature. Currently 0 degrees outside. The temperature is dropping 2.5 degrees each hour. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of hours that must pass for the temperature to drop below negative 20 degrees. Okay, so first thing, we're going to read it and find your clue words. So pause, find your clue word, and underline your variable. Okay, I see below negative 20, so less than negative 20. And also, I'm looking for the number of hours. So that's going to be my X, the number of hours. Okay, so it's dropping 2.5 degrees each hour. That tells me it's a negative 2.5 each hour. I know it would be negative 2.5 each hour, so times the number of hours. And I can go back and solve that. I want to take our time now to at least read through the next couple, okay? And you can come back and solve this one. 26. Students in a science class are divided into 6 equal groups with at least 4 students in each group for a project. Write and solve the inequality that represents the number of students in the class. Okay? Well, clue words. Tell your neighbor what clue words you see. Put a box around it. Right? At least 4. That's my clue words. Tell your neighbor what inequality symbol that is. Greater than or equal to 4. Underline what we're trying to find. Okay, it looks like we're trying to find the number of students in the class, or the total number of students in the class, and that has to start over here, somewhere on the left. All right, what are we doing with the kids in the class? If this is the total number of students in the class, we are dividing it into 6 equal groups. Well, that kind of tells me I'm dividing it into 6 groups, and I want at least 4 in each group. So we took the story problem and wrote the inequality. You can come back and solve that. Let's go ahead and read the last one about the smartphone. You earn $9.20 per hour at your summer job. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of hours you need to work in order to buy a smartphone that costs $299. So every time we have a story problem, we're going to put a box around the clue words. I'm going to write that down. Clue words. Right? Put those in a box. That's step 1. Step 2 is to underline your X that you're trying to find. What are they asking you to find so that you know what X is going to be? Okay? So if you get to story problems on your homework, this is what we're doing to walk through it and set it up. Okay, so on this one, clue words. Well, I don't see anything from my flashcards that are jumping out at me, but again, I know how money works. If I want to buy something that costs $299, I have to have at least that much money, right? That much money or more. I cannot buy something if I don't have that much money. So if it costs $299, I've got greater than or equal to $299. All right, what are we trying to find? They're usually going to tell you in the problem, write and solve an inequality that represents the number of hours you need to work. There's your variable. So here's how many hours I need to work, okay? And I make $9.20 per hour. So $9.20 times the number of hours I work, I need that total to be at least $299, okay? So just kind of some review of how to set these up. We're going to pause the video now. You've got 3 to go back and solve. Okay, so go back and solve those 3 that we didn't quite finish yet right now. Before we come back and go over the answers, I also want you to tell me whether 0 would be a solution that works. So once you get your answer, tell me yes or no. Would 0 work? For each of these, you're going to see questions on your quiz that are going to ask you, is 0 a solution that works or some other number? You need to be able to tell me yes or no if it works or not. Okay, so finish. And then yes or no for would 0 be part of the solution set for each of those 3. Okay, I'm going to go over these pretty quickly. I solved this one because I did divide by a negative right here on both sides. It should be flipped going this way. X is greater than 8. Is 0 a solution that works for that? No. 0 is not greater than 8. And then let's check both of these. Okay, times 6 times 6, I get X is greater than or equal to 24. Is 0 a solution that works there? Is 0 greater than 24? No. And here, divide by 9.2, divide by 9.2. So here I get X is greater than or equal to 32.5 hours. That's how long I'd have to work to get enough money. Is 0 a solution that works here? No, because 0 is not greater than 32. Greater than or equal to 32.5. Okay? I know sometimes plugging in 0 seems like a silly number, but just be used to answering that question. Would something be a solution that works? Yes or no. Okay? Your job now is to continue working on your packet.